Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Sports Desk here on SYN 90.7. It is Politics, and you're here with the usual gang. We have Liam. Sorry, we've got Liam, Tom, and April. I'm just a little bit tired, just like get through as well. And myself, Ben. Almost forgot my name. That's where I was at. I was thinking, do I go me or not? Anyway, we do have a very jam-packed show for you today. There's quite a lot of controversial topics in, which we'll get to later, particularly surrounding the tennis world. But I think, guys, first up, we may as well start chatting some AFL. And what topic do we have first up, Liam?
Oh, we're talking AFL. That's new. Let's start off with something that me and Caleb discussed on the debate desk on Sunday, the Toby Green kick. Do we agree with it? Do we not agree with it? Personally, I said I agree with it. As long as it's legal, do it. Until it becomes illegal, continue to do it. That's how I see it.
I would disagree with that. I don't think you can just put your foot up, studs up and everything, to specifically aim to kick another player in the chest. Legal. But, well, I don't think it should be.
Oh, no, I don't think it should be either. I don't think it should be legal, but why is it legal? Continue to do it.
Yeah, it should have been. You're right. It should have been fixed earlier, and the fact that it wasn't addressed when it happened against the Western Bulldogs with Luke Dalhouse is like a bad thing on the AFL's part, and it should have been fixed when it was there. And then now that it's not fixed, he will still get to do it. But in saying that third one that he did on Newman, the one where he actually took the mark, that one was considered illegal, but didn't have enough force to constitute a reportable offence.
Well, I was reading that in their match review, they said that should have been a free kick. So yes. I assume, does that mean from now on umpires would give a free kick?
I think they've got to wait till the end of the year to change the rule.
It depends on the situation. So for that one, it was front on, like directly front on, and that was what the free kick would be for. Whereas the other two against Jones and Aaliyah would wear like side on, and I feel like that's more of a jumping motion where you could argue that's like the same as Eddie Betts taking a mark, putting his knee into the back. So as long as he doesn't do it front on for the moment, it's fine. And then at the end of the year, they should change it to say no studs up at all, in my opinion.
So why it's legal, he can continue to do it? Pretty much. So against Collingwood, expect him to do it against probably Darcy Moore when he comes back, someone like that.
Yeah, I think they'll do it I think he'll do it, but I think he'll get told by the Giants not to do it front on, because that's where it becomes dangerous.
And everyone's going to be watching for him now. All the umpires are going to be on it if it looks too dangerous, they're going to pick it up.
It'll be really great if he tries to do it, and then some guys, some defenders just like, nope, and then just absolutely just flips him over. It'll just be like...
Well, I like what Jeremy Howe said. I think it was Jeremy Howe. He said he'll kick him back.
Yeah. So we'll see. There was interesting saying that Jared Waite had this in his game as well, and Carlton coached it out of him. So eventually that's what it'll come to. He'll have to be coached out of it. Next, we've got on AFL, we've got Hannah Mousey withdrawing from the draft, even though she was an eligible player. I read this somewhere saying it took too much of a toll on her. And she's decided to withdraw from the AFL draft process this year completely. What is everyone's thoughts on that?
I personally, controversially of course, didn't think she should be allowed to play in the AFLW. Just the pure size of her and her build, I just think is too dangerous for women. I've got a sister who used to play football, and my sister is just over 5 foot, and I think I think just over 40, maybe just over 50 kilos. And having someone like that tackle her would absolutely crush her.
Fair enough.
I think it's very... Yeah. I still think there's a lot more way to go, and I personally think what had... as bad as this sounds, again, this is my opinion, not the opinion of the sports desk, what had Hannah Mousey, the most advantage she had was that she is very bulk, very bloke-looking. If she was very skinny and petite type of person, I think no one would have an issue. I think, which is probably bad on everyone's behalf, including mine, I think, just because of the way she looks. But I think it's just how heavy she is, how strong she is. I think it's unfair for the other women.
I think it's disappointing that she's had to withdraw from, because I feel like nobody should have to not be like everyone should be allowed to play the sport that they want to play, but I do see it from the point of view, I think it would have been hard for her if she'd gotten in, and I wonder how she would have been treated if she had been picked up by a club, either by crowds and the public and the media, or even still by the AFL, because she said she'd been so disappointed with how they've been treating her and how they've been not supporting her and putting themselves above her well-being.
And another issue that I'm a bit worried as well is, I know she said during open mic that, well, Mike Sheen said during open mic that there's a few females part of the AFL/VFL that still weren't comfortable with her playing. I feel like the women should take main stage in what they. I think the overwhelming vote from all the women involved is a no.
Yeah,
I think it has to be a no.
I don't think it was. And just reading this, like there's like scientific. There was a scientific requirement. If that requirement was met, then she should be allowed to play. That was always my belief. Is that the AFL just like rushed into it, didn't think about it. There's in the IOC, there's rules about who can play and their biology around that in terms of testosterone. And those, like, if whatever's inside a person, I guess. And if Hannah, like, Cohen's, like, works with what's been required, then she should be allowed to play. I think it was an issue that they didn't have a policy like that until till 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And then now that they do, it's just like such a sad situation where when they get it, it puts her back 2 years, because what the policy says is that you have to maintain a certain level of testosterone for at least 2 years, which is a lot of work for anyone. You can definitely understandable why she would feel the way that she feels and the way that she's been treated. I think I would have loved to see her like get there and play, because like if she does maintain that level of testosterone, she gets the right to play, in my opinion.
This is a personal one again for me. And this is for all transgender athletes. I feel either the AFL, and I feel if she still has the male parts, I think that's still an issue, especially when it comes to the locker room. Like, you got a bunch of girls getting changed, then you got a girl with male genitalia walking around. I don't know how other females would feel.
Male genitalia?
Yep. Yeah.
But I imagine everyone could be easily open-minded to that.
I think
if she identifies as a woman, then that's what she is.
That doesn't change. The on-field doesn't matter. Yeah.
No,
it's a bit of a touchy topic.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We'll move on. Sticking with AFL, though, of course. We'll move to the fixturing. Now, this was a complaint made by Eddie Maguire.
What? No.
Yeah, I know. And it involves Collingwood, surprise.
No.
But anyway, was the AFL right in fixturing the Collingwood v GWS game on the Saturday, giving the winner a 6-day turnaround to face Richmond in next Friday's preliminary final?
I say yes, and then no to the second one. I think the Richmond Collingwood one should have been on the Saturday.
No, that one was always going to be on the Friday night, because the right is always given to the Premier, as its tradition states. That whoever finishes on the top of the ladder, you'll get the Friday night. So I've got no issue with that.
Why in 2012 Sydney played Collingwood on the Friday?
Where did Sydney finish?
Third, actually. Hawthorn finished first.
Well, there's a little bit of anomaly, but as has been in recent times, it has been whoever's the top team, you play on the Friday night. And you remember, of course, when Fremantle did it back in, when was it, 2014? 2015. You guys played the preliminary final on the Friday night as well. So
yeah. Thank you for that.
So anyway, the question is about the Collingwood GWS on the Saturday. Should that have been on the Friday night?
Yeah, definitely.
It's still a 6-day break.
They're definitely but they're appealing to the TV. It's nothing more. It's like classic AFL. Don't care about the players or the fans. It's just about the broadcast rights, and how many, the most amount of views they can get. I don't know why we're like so surprised that it happened. It's happened the entire year. It's been one of the worst that I can remember game schedulings across the entire home and away
Oh yeah,
season.
Carlton had 7 Friday night.
So they've got form in this. So I don't think we should be surprised. Just disappointed at this stage.
Also,
Yeah, well, as you're saying, I think this year there's been like heaps of 6-day turnarounds and things like that. I think they just need to deal with it, and it's not that big a deal. I also think a long break in some ways can be as bad as a short break for teams. So
we haven't. Yeah, a lot of like people have said that. Well, Richmond and West Coast will now be played one game in something like 28 days. Yeah, one game in 28 days. That hasn't been proven to. Oh, actually, it has in 2016.
On the first year.
Both,
Yeah.
yeah.
they're both one for one,
teams, both teams didn't have a break because they lost. Sydney lost the qualifying final, and
The Doggies won
West
the
Coast
elimination.
won from Western Bulldogs won from 7th. So maybe there is some merit to that, and that they need less of a break. But I guess we won't find out until the prelim next week.
I think either way, you can't please everyone, because if you had to put that game on the Friday night, then you would have heard Eddie complain, "Oh, what's this? I mean, we just come from Perth. We're only having a 6-day break." Like,
Yeah.
he would have started talking about that. The fact that they played in Perth, they wouldn't have been able to come on the Saturday night. They would have to come on the Sunday, and all of a sudden they had Monday,
it just should have
Tuesday,
been.
Wednesday,
It just should have
Thursday.
been 2 Saturdays in a row. That's what. Like that's probably what the ideal was. The channel 7 or whatever didn't want it clearly, and it didn't happen.
Well, I think the Hawthorn Melbourne game is a better one on the Friday night anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, either way, you weren't going to please anyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine the way they've done it. It's
Yeah.
I feel
unfortunate,
like-
but look, Collingwood would 100% have had a sook if that game was on the Friday night. So that's why I think also they put down the Saturday night, thinking about that 6-day break if they had to put down the Friday night, because I think that would have been a bigger worry coming off that trip to Perth than it is staying in Melbourne and having a 6-day break. I mean, what would you prefer? Would you prefer a 6-day break coming from Perth or a 6-day break staying in Melbourne?
No, staying in Melbourne.
Exactly.
Obviously.
So
I think their issue is they don't want any 6-day
But
breaks.
GWS might have to travel if they win.
Oh, it's only Sydney. It's only an hour flight.
Still a flight, still
Yeah.
travelling.
Not as big as Perth.
No, it's not as big. It shouldn't be like crazy.
I feel like when teams start complaining about their breaks as well, I feel like it's just looking for excuses before they've
Yeah,
lost.
it's not like, and Bucks completely disagreed with him. He was like on radio. He was just at the complete opposite to Eddie. He's like, we'll get what we get, whatever.
Yeah.
Gonna win either way. I think it's just Eddie being Eddie. It's fine.
You're here with Liam, Tom, April, and Ben. We're now going to get back into some AFL.
Yes, and after Geelong got knocked out of the finals on last Friday night, there seemed to be a bit of a panic, I think, trying to get Ablett a flag. Let's see if Ablett stays. Ablett did say he's contracted to next year, but, it's not like Ablett to ever break a contract. But Geelong's been linked to Luke Dalhouse, Gary Ryan, Jack Stevens, Fremantle's Tom Sheridan, as well as someone said, not linked to, but someone said they should look at Jesse Hogan from Melbourne as well. To me, they're kind of doing what Brisbane did in 2009 when they had a bit of success. They decided to go out and get a whole bunch of players, which completely ruined their list. I feel like Geelong's kind of panicking at the moment. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, if you look at their season in review, like if we were going to review their season, you would have to ask some questions about what they're thinking, because it wasn't that their older players weren't good. Like, their list is old, but their old players, Tom Hawkins, Gary Ablett. Gary Ablett was 35 and averaged 29 possessions. Danger and Selwood, who played a new position, mind you. They were all the rocks of the team. It was their bottom 6 that let them down every time they lost. And it's because they haven't had a high draft pick in years. I think their highest, who would have been their highest? It would have been,
I think Kelly was picked like 24 last year.
No, Tim Kelly was a mature age recruit. He was not in the actual national draft.
Yeah, he was.
No, I don't think so. But I think they've had one number 10 pick, but that's it. They haven't had I don't even think they've had one pick lower than number 10. So I don't know what they're
pick
trying.
24.
Yeah, pick 24, Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
So They've been lucky in that regard. So I think they need to focus on young players, because if they don't, they don't find success soon, that it could all fall apart very, very quickly.
I've said for ages, I said once that Dangerfield and went to Geelong, that this is going to hurt Mitch Duncan. I think it has, especially with Gary Ablett. Now in the midfield, it's pushing Duncan out. Instead of him becoming the next captain of Geelong, I feel like Duncan's further and further getting out, further being pushed out of Geelong midfield.
I agree with that. It's difficult because he had a really, really bad game in the elimination final.
Oh, so did Dangerfield.
They all did except for Ablett's third quarter. So it's hard to judge now. I think Duncan will get. I think Duncan's good, like a star, irrespective. So I don't think it'll be a huge problem. I think their issue is up forward, because it's Hawkins his career is like described as inconsistent, in my opinion, and then who surrounds him, like
Menzel's on his way out.
Menzel kicks goals and does nothing else. That's like the description of him. And then the rest are completely young players who are on the list and get games just because they're there, or like someone like a Cramery who they brought in. Got delisted in the hope that he would turn into something that he clearly hasn't. Yeah. So they need to work on their forward line.
I think Geelong's biggest issue as well, and Geelong and Collingwood have done the same thing, but you can't create a premiership list. You can't trade in all these players. Dangerfield, Scott Sarwood, Henderson.
Yeah. I can't remember a time. A time. The closest will be at this stage is Hawthorn. Like if Hawthorn managed to do it in the next 2 years, then we'll all be laughing then, because that's what they've done. So maybe they're trying too hard to be Clarkson, but they don't have the draft picks. They don't have
the young talent.
They don't have the young talent to along with the older Sam Mitchell, Luke Hodge. Like they don't have a Sam Mitchell, Luke Hodge to trade away to get younger draft picks and someone like Jaeger Mira and a Tom
They're
Mitchell.
going more like a mature age.
It's like a proven but not incredible players.
I believe there's big issues at Geelong, especially for what they're doing. I don't see him winning a flag anytime soon.
All right. Speaking of teams sort of in the same realm, I guess, Sydney. Before we get into Sydney in general, first of all, Dan Hanbury. He's asked for a trade from the side. Luke Parker potentially as well. Not asking for one, but potentially being targeted.
Jake Lloyd.
Just get on Dan Hanbury first. Where should he go?
I've heard St Kilda's been looking at him.
It's a huge deal, isn't it? Isn't it 5 years at $4 million or something like that?
I think that's a terrible idea, though, St Kilda. They're nowhere near the premiership window. Hanbury's too young to be just there to help build a young list. If he wants to go somewhere, I'll say probably Essendon, but they don't really need a midfielder.
They don't need an outside. He's an outside midfielder, and they don't need that. It would be somewhere like obviously St Kilda would be I think it would be the best in terms of a team that needs someone like Hanbury. It would be a St Kilda type. I can't see anything else. Obviously, like a Carlton will need any players it can get. Gold Coast needs any players it can get.
Well, Gold Coast might get Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, well, they'll have to lure him with a lot of money.
I think they have. They've offered him a big bucks.
Yeah. So we'll see that. I think St Kilda's correct. I think St Kilda will be the way that he goes. I don't think he'll go to anywhere that's not Victoria anyway.
Could North be a chance?
Well, they were going for Polek.
Which I think is happen.
Apparently St Kilda's jumped in on that very late. So could St Kilda, could North do the opposite on them?
So maybe they do a swap. So North was getting two players. They were getting Polak, and who was the other player they were looking at? Gaff.
Right.
So they could swap out Gaff for Hanbury, but I would rather Gaff in that situation. So they're quite similar players at their best anyway.
Yeah.
So
If
I would still
Hawthorn-
pick Gaff.
If Hawthorn's if this isn't just a one-year wonder for Hawthorn, if they're very serious about this flag tilt, I think Hanbury could go well there
Where?
at Hawthorn. Just
Maybe.
more mature.
I don't know
heading
if they
in
have
midfield.
them. They had the money to get Lynch, so maybe they'll get someone. Maybe they'll get someone like as much as Lynch to their club. If he does go to Richmond, which is what everyone's saying.
Yeah, this is, again, worrying signs for Geelong, also worrying signs for Sydney.
Yep, speaking on that, so Dan Hanbury asking for a trade, Jake Lloyd potentially going out, as well as Luke Parker, and then Gary Rowan as well. He's requested a move back to Geelong. I'm not sure if that's
I don't
been
think he has
confirmed
yet.
yet,
He hasn't,
but
yeah.
it is being heavily considered by him. Is Sydney about to enter into a rebuilding phase?
Well, if you looked at their forward line against GWS, they only had Buddy Franklin. Everyone else was under 20, so got a feeling, they would have to be in a rebuilding stage at the moment.
And I think Buddy's probably on the way out too, so they'd be looking
4
soon
years.
for someone to come in and fill his spot.
Should they trade him? Should Sydney
Oh, that's a lot of
trade
money.
Lance Franklin?
It's a lot of money.
No, of course not. Never.
No,
Never.
Well, if they're going to enter into a rebuilding phase, clearly Buddy's not going to be part of like the future. He's got 4 years left, does he? Or is
Yeah.
it 4 or 5?
It reminds me of like a Matthew Richardson at the end of his career. And Matthew Richardson at the end of his career, if you don't know, played on the wing. In one of his final seasons, and almost won a Brownlow and on the wing position. That's how good of a player he was. And then had Jack Riewoldt behind him as like a new recruit to like take over the reins as the key forward. So what I would think would happen would be if Buddy is healthy, you move him further up the ground and further up the ground. You play him on the wing. You play him like bang on in the midfield.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like exactly what
Yeah,
Richo did.
like what Richo did. But that means we need another forward. Otherwise, then
Yeah.
it's just a forward full of 20-year-olds. So we need to find someone like to replace him, like a prodigy type. It'll be tough because we don't have the draft pick. We've never had the draft picks to be able to do it. We could maybe next year do a dress. We could have maybe done something like Hawthorn, got rid of McVeigh, got rid of Heath Grundy, and got some draft picks. But yeah, I think the issue is Sydney's always rebuilt. Sydney, Geelong, Hawthorn have always rebuilt from about 10th, 9th, 10th position. And it's always difficult to rebuild from there, but because they're like the powerhouse clubs that have shown consistency over across the last 10 years, that they'll be all right. They'll be thereabouts. I think the biggest issue for Sydney will be the SCG. Because when you look at Geelong's record is just
It's fantastic.
impeccable at GMHBA.
And look at the teams they play there, though. They don't play.
Yeah, but
this year,
it
they
doesn't
play
matter
other
who they
teams.
play. They don't lose there. It's irrespective. They'll play. They play if they played Richmond there, which they don't. But if they played Richmond there, they would beat Richmond. The only team they don't beat is, ironically, Sydney at GMHBA. So their like record is like lopsided in a sense because they'll make 8th because they win all these games, but then in finals they don't play there, so they lose.
Now,
And that's why their record is so bad.
Just quickly, now if they do lose those 4 players that we know, so
All
Parker,
4,
Hanbury, all 4, assuming that they're going to be replaced with young players, or potentially they may get a younger, like I don't know,
A draft
20,
pick,
22, whatever. Do Sydney make finals next year then?
No, definitely not. It'll be really sad.
What's
for
the streak
Buddy.
at the moment?
Since
You've only
09.
missed one since...
One in...
Was it 20-something?
Like just lower. I think it'll be the 20th year next year. I think.
Okay, yeah. No, you've only missed one.
Once,
So
yeah.
that's an incredible record. But yeah, it does look like you're about to enter a rebuilding phase, and I think you do need those couple of years finishing in like 10th or whatever, like not trying to be fully invested in making finals, say doing like a Geelong,
it's
they're
really
doing,
tough because,
going out recruiting.
But how would you really go for a rebuild when you have the greatest forward of all time? Like that was always the issue,
I know,
right?
exactly.
It's
yeah.
like why?
Well,
why
do you
even
do a
it?
Geelong then?
Yeah.
Do you do what Geelong's doing right now?
We
And you
can't.
put all
We've
your
never had
eggs
that. We don't have the
in
sal-
one basket?
because we have that. Because we have those players. We've never had the salary cap like the salary to do it. We were banned from trading for 2 years because of the Buddy deal. So this year we have a little bit of money because Kurt Tippett retired. So maybe we could potentially see some trading. That's why we've been looking at Darcy Moore, even though I think that's the wrong decision.
Another issue though is that it's a lot easier to lure Victorians back to Victoria than lure Victorians to New South Wales.
That's true, yeah. But I think if there was an up-and-coming forward that wanted a change to play behind Buddy Franklin, this would be the time to call up Andrew Ireland.
Just got a quick stat for you as well. Talking about Geelong and Sydney and Hawthorn. If Hawthorn loses against Melbourne on Friday night, it'll be the first time since 2002 that Geelong, Hawthorn or Sydney weren't in the prelim final.
Wow, what is that? That is incredible. So that just shows
those three teams dominant.
The powerhouse of the AFL and the new era that we're currently in.
I feel like we are too. I feel like we're entering a new era.
It's a new guard. I'm like excited for it. Hopefully for my sake, Sydney still push for finals.
You'll make a random grand final in the next 5 years. Really.
It'll
happen.
Yeah, it'll be something like Hawthorn. It'll be ridiculous.
And we're now going to get stuck into some tennis. Now we're going to get into the topic that has, I guess, caused a major storm in the sporting world and just the world in general. This is in relation, of course, to the cartoon by Mark Knight, which was published in the Herald Sun yesterday. Monday, whenever it was. Of course, it's depicting Serena Williams, who's got Osaka in the background and the chair umpire. Now, who wants to get started on this first? Who wants to open the batting?
Yes.
You get started on it. Was it too far by him, or is he spot on?
I think he's been doing this for years. I believe... I don't think it was racist at all. I just think it shows her chucking your temper tantrum, which she did. I wasn't convinced on it until I heard Caroline Wilson say it's not sexist. I believe Caroline Wilson thinks it's not sexist. I'll go with what she said. So I believe that it wasn't too far. It was satire. I just thought that's all it was. I think PC culture's blown it way out of proportion.
When I first looked at it, I agreed with you. I thought she was in the wrong in the whole incident. So I thought this was a pretty good representation, kind of funny, of what had happened. But what a lot of people have been commenting on is how he drew Osaka in the background and just drew her as a white blonde girl, which she's not. And so I don't really know. I just think that is an interesting part of it and don't know why he wouldn't have bothered to make her look how she actually does.
Tom?
Yeah, I don't like it. I really, really, really don't like the photo. It's the cartoon. It's just like... There were so many better ways to portray that, draw that, and I've looked, and you can compare it to that of Jim Crow caricatures, and all that hugely racist, gollywogs as well, and that type of stereotypical black drawings in during the time, and they're eerily similar. And whether it's whether it's subconsciously taken inspiration from, in the sense that that's how African Americans have been drawn across the years, so that it's in Mark Knight's brain, it's in everyone's brain. So when they go to draw a caricature of an African American woman, it comes out as this. Could be an issue. Could be the situation where the intention might not be to draw her specifically racist, but when he does go to draw her, it looks way too much like one of those things, and should never have been drawn like that in the first place. And I really dislike what the Herald Sun have done with it, double down, calling everyone who thinks it's racist just PC culture warriors. Their headline for today in the Herald Sun is cartoons in a PC world, and it's the front page, and it's all these Mark Knight cartoons, and saying whether they were banned or barred or condemned. And not one of the ones that they showed were of and African American. They're all of politicians.
Yeah, isn't that the issue though? Straight
No,
away
I
there,
think-
as soon as it's about a dark-skinned person,
But it is.
all
but
of a
it has
sudden
to be.
it's
But
a
it
PC
has
issue.
to be. But
So
it
if he over, because I agree with Mark Knight. I think he's got this
Yeah,
spot
so
on.
do I,
Like, yes,
100%.
obviously you can see the PC issues, but I mean seriously,
But I
like,
don't think we get a right.
Serena
I don't think we
Williams-
get the right to decide whether
Serena
it's racist
Williams
or not.
is a big girl. Let's be honest. Like she's the biggest.
It's not a question of
It's
that.
the
She's
how
like-
he's drawn
she's-
the face.
It's how he's drawn her. It's the whole thing in
Yeah,
its.
well,
in its
he's
entirety.
drawing her as if she's having a sook, which is
Yeah.
what she is. She's having a tantrum. You see the
Yeah.
tennis racket on the floor, and she's jumping up.
If
So
you-
I don't think he's had that intention at all. What he's done, and I understand where everyone's coming from with all the PC stuff and saying like, okay, just look at the facial and stuff, look at Osaka, but he's drawing her. If you look at it from how he's drawn it, he's
But you
drawn her
can't- you can't
having
just
a
look at that.
sook. He's drawn her having a sook.
Can I-
But you can do
yeah.
that with every single
No, Ben,
cartoon.
can I ask you a question?
What?
When a couple years ago, some mum for Book Week dressed her kid up as Nick Natanui. Do you
Yeah.
remember this story?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. She did the whole blackface with the dreadlocks, yeah? And it went absolutely crazy.
Mm.
Yeah? Do you think that that's racist?
No.
No, I
So-
don't. He's dressed up as Nick Natanui.
Yeah.
No,
That's
I
his
see
hero.
no issue.
that's 100 like that is by definition racist. So
Yeah,
if you,
and that's where I think society. Like, I don't want to turn this into a complete
Yeah.
race issue, but this is where I think society's just gone a little bit too far.
But you don't. But
I
you
mean,
don't
seriously,
understand the
like, he's
historical.
dressing-
But you
he's
don't
dressing-
understand the historical
understand-
connotations
I understand-
behind blackface and
Yeah.
that type of drawing.
But seriously, Mark Knight is known for doing these cartoons, and I love how the Herald Sun have gone back to him on this because he's done this to several obviously politicians and whatnot, and he's known for this. And his first cartoon, let's put this in perspective. This is not the first time he's had a crack at tennis. His first cartoon was having a dig at John McEnroe at the US Open. All right, so just because Serena Williams is who she is, okay, I don't think is a reason we should absolutely attack Mark Knight here. Because let's put this in perspective. What Serena Williams did was absolutely not
But I
on,
don't think
okay?
it doesn't excuse a racist
This-
drawing. It doesn't
it's
excuse a racist
not a
drawing.
It's not a
drawing,
racist drawing.
I think the point
but you-
is...
how do
It's not
you-
a racist
how do you
drawing.
know?
And how
Yeah,
do you
when you-
define a racist drawing?
Because
Who
I'm-
defines what a racist drawing is?
Because I know what a racist drawing is because I looked up what they drew during slavery and how they portrayed black people, and I've researched.
But you can't tell
but
me
I've
that Mark
researched-
Knight's looked
do-
at that.
Like I've researched what they do. Do you know why blackface is
You
racist?
don't. Look, I understand all of that.
Yeah.
I understand all that, and I know where it's come from. But you cannot tell me that Mark Knight has looked at that and gone, okay, here's all this history about blackface and how
Yeah.
they've drawn all these cartoons. I'm going to depict Serena Williams in that way because
No, he
that,
hasn't done that. Of course he hasn't done that.
He's
He hasn't-
depicted Serena Williams the way she acted.
I
I'm
feel
sorry,
like,
she
I feel
acted
like her
like
lips
that.
No,
had
but
to be
she
that
shouldn't-
size to display the emotion of what
Yeah,
she was doing.
But
he
she
does
should-
this all the time.
No, but
Yeah.
but he shouldn't have drawn it.
If she had
like that.
smaller lips, you couldn't tell that she's chucking a temper
Right,
tantrum.
April, you were going to come in.
I was going to say, I think when it comes to racism,
Mm-hmm.
you can't really, from like a white perspective,
Yeah.
you can't really have a say on it. If the black people and like a majority of people think it's something is racist, then it is, and you can't say, oh no, it's not, because from my perspective, it's not, because if they perceive it as being racist, then you just take that and be like, okay, we won't do that again.
Well, I've seen comments of people of colour saying it's not racist as well.
Yeah, there's comments on both sides here.
No.
There's absolutely certainly comments on both sides
I
here.
find
but
it hard to believe that Knight had no idea that this was going to be seen as racist, and I find it hard to believe that he didn't put a bit of racism into it too. Because whenever you
By
do
depicting
an issue
Serena
like
Williams.
this, he knows
No,
that
he's
issue's
done it
going to
on
be
purpose
raised.
to
No.
cause. He's done it on purpose to cause
No,
a
I
stir.
completely-
Herald Sun have doubled down because they know it
So
gets
are you
clicks.
saying, Tom, that the Herald Sun now needs to hire a person of colour to write cartoons about people of colour?
No, I just don't draw.
Yeah, what if
just
this
don't
was-
draw African Americans like that?
What if this was done by an African American?
Yeah,
Would
if
we
this-
still be having an uproar?
If this was drawn,
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah.
That's a
But
There
it's,
you go.
but
But
I
it's hard
don't.
to
But,
believe
it,
that
but,
they
it,
would
but
have
obviously it changes. That
doesn't
changes.
change. That's
Why
the
does
same
why does it
drawing.
change?
It's the
What do
same
you
issue.
mean?
It's the same issue.
Okay,
They've
so-
drawn
so-
that drawing.
No,
But they
but it's
wouldn't
different
draw that
because,
drawing.
because
What if a African American drew a Caucasian person as a hillbilly?
Sorry,
or a
wait. Did
redneck?
you just say the African American wouldn't have drawn them in that way?
That's
No,
what I
I
said.
didn't.
I said that.
How do we know that they wouldn't have drawn it? Because, as again, from my point of view, he has depicted Serena Williams perfectly there.
Yeah.
She is having a dummy spit.
it's irrespective.
Who's
of
to
whether
say that
Yeah.
they're not going to draw it the same
It doesn't
way?
matter whether. Okay, let's go on your hypothetical.
Yeah.
An African American has drawn Serena
Yeah.
like that. They are allowed to.
Yeah.
So,
They're
Okay.
allowed to.
So if an
Ah,
African
there we go.
American drew a Caucasian person as just a hillbilly redneck, would that be racist?
No.
Why?
Can't be racist to white people, but I'm not going to get into that
racist
right now.
is race against
No, that's
person
wrong.
of race.
That's just straight
That
up
is
wrong.
wrong,
It's straight up wrong.
100% wrong.
Okay, that's
So the
wrong.
South Africans to the white farmers, that's not racist.
No.
Saying they're going to kill the white farmers, that's not racist.
That's a completely different issue.
That is you're insulting people of race. You're
No.
discriminating people of race. You
Can't be racist. You can't be racist to the oppressors. We are the oppressors.
If I didn't like Ben because of his tan skin,
Yeah.
that's racist. If Ben didn't like me because of my
No,
white skin,
Liam.
that's racist.
Nah. It's you have to take into cultural and historical context, and this drawing
No, race is
hasn't.
against a person of different race.
But this drawing hasn't taken into the historical
I think
context.
you've watched
of
too many
how black
BuzzFeed
people are
videos.
portrayed. What?
You've watched too many BuzzFeed videos.
No, it's not BuzzFeed. It's
Definitely
it's
BuzzFeed.
like-
You can be racist to anyone of a
we'll
different race.
all agree to disagree, but look, at the end of the day, take off the racist hat. Take off the racist hat. Is this a pretty accurate depiction of what happened? Taking off your racist hat. Is this an accurate depiction?
Oh, she was in the wrong during the.
No, I'm saying,
tournament.
is he accurately portraying her of what she did?
I think yes, but I don't think the background of the image is. I think
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, like with the blonde hair, but
Yeah.
I think he wants the focus to be on Serena Williams there, which is what actually happened. Because I want to get into this next topic about Naomi Osaka. Is she the next big thing in women's tennis? And was her win? Obviously, it clearly has. I think been overshadowed by this, which is what I think Knight's done in this image. He's shown Williams in the front and shown obviously Osaka in the. He might have done the blonde hair deliberately to show that she has been overshadowed.
Does the
yeah,
umpire,
Potentially.
nobody noticed.
Does the
Exactly.
umpire look the
Nobody
same as
noticed
well?
who she was. Yeah. Pardon?
Does the umpire look the same? Or
No, the umpire doesn't look the
Yeah,
same.
so
either.
the two background
So maybe
characters,
he's done that deliberately
Oh,
to
100%.
show that this was all about Serena Williams throwing the dummy, I guess, in one way
Oh yeah.
to put it, and then not them. So back to the Osaka and the tennis. Is she the next big thing in women's tennis?
Well,
I
just
think,
checking it.
I think she's got heaps of potential.
Oh yeah, 20 years old.
Me and my family, my dad told me I had to say this on air that he picked her as the next big thing years ago when we saw her at the Australian Open. I think in her first time there, and you could tell already from her game style that she was strong like Serena, which a lot of the women aren't. A lot of them play in a bit of a different style, which is why Serena's been so dominant. And so it was interesting to see someone coming through who had that similar, like, powerful game. And so I definitely think she's going to go a long way.
Yeah, she there's not very often that in a
Yeah, that
final
you
that someone
overpower
overpowers Serena
Yeah.
Williams, and she did that. And
It's absolutely fantastic.
that'll be a great thing to watch in the years to come.
This is like the ultimate, I guess, the perfect moment of the changing of the guard, I guess. 'Cause
Yeah.
I still think Serena's got still years of
Oh, definitely.
good
well,
tennis
two
ahead of her.
finals in a row.
But if
yeah.
there was a changing of the guard, this is the ideal moment. I mean, she overpowered Serena.
Yeah.
Who does that? I mean, seriously, it's incredible. Now to the men's. Novak Djokovic. Is he en route to regain the status of world number one and winning? Who's got the record again in the Grand Slams? I can't remember. I know Federer's on 20. Let's just say that. Is he en route to passing Roger Federer on 20 Grand Slams? He's now won 14. He's won the last two Grand Slams of the year in Wimbledon and, of course, the US Open Monday, our time.
And the next is the Australian Open, which is his specialty.
Can he? Yes, it is. Can he surpass Roger Federer on 20?
No.
It's a bit far to get
20's
another
a long way
six.
to-
Yeah,
It's only
from
6.
14.
It's only 6 more Grand Slams.
Yeah,
And for
he'll
Djokovic,
he'll
that's not like a lot.
He'll get close. I'm a bit tentative to say anything on tennis, considering how Federer managed to win at 37 or 36. So I don't know what the situation will be. You can never say Federer's done clearly. So I'm not too sure. I think if any of them, it's now becomes an issue of whether Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic can be healthy for that period leading up to the tournament and then during the tournament, because we've seen time and time again Djokovic has been out of the game because he's injured.
Joker! We had this last week. Joker!
Joker, whatever.
Come on. Joker.
Oh, whatever. Novak then. No. Whether he can be healthy. Nadal obviously dropped out because of an injury, and I feel like that keeps happening to him a lot. And Federer took a year or 6 months off tennis.
There's a lot.
To get back to the Australian Open that he won. So if they can all be healthy, I still think I would give it to Djokovic to win the Australian Open. I don't
Novak?
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think anyone, and even other than those three, I don't think someone can beat.
And it
beat
is,
them.
yeah, it's my bad. Roger is actually, he does have the most Grand Slam wins for the men's. I had a feeling
Yeah.
it was like sort of the women's, where it was like a 23 or 21. It is Roger. He's got 20. Nadal's second with 16, and Djokovic is equal with Pete Sampras with 14.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. Djokovic is only 31, so he can do it.
Yeah.
It is possible. I just don't know if I want him to. I think that's the bigger question. Do we want Djokovic to pass Federer? I don't.
No,
I personally
Records are
don't.
made to be broken. Always.
I know, but I don't
Always.
want it to be broken by Djokovic. I just personally, I'm just not a fan of his. I know this is harsh, but like a fan of his personality.
like Djokovic.
He's like a robot on the court.
Yeah,
He's
like, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's
like,
there to win. There's no person. It's like,
But I
Yeah.
suppose
Yeah.
he shows that
It shows
hard
complete-
work
yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
dedication can get you results.
Yeah. I love his game style is great, but I don't know. It's just a personal thing.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
put
I
it
can
that
see,
way.
I can
Let's
see.
put it that
I
way.
love Djokovic because Djokovic can tell how many of your mates are Serbian.
All right, we're going to finish off on some cricket. Now, the Test squad was announced, the Australian cricket Test squad, to take on Pakistan in an upcoming Test series. The big name coming out of the Australian team was Glenn Maxwell.
wow.
We got
team.
5 new inclusions. We got Labuschagne from Queensland. No Joe Burns. I'm trying. Who else? Peter Siddle comes in. Can someone? Oh, I didn't get it up.
Finch.
There we go. Yeah, Finch. Finch is a bolt. Absolutely incredible. So, will he start? We don't know. We don't know. Start. What is this? Basketball? I don't know.
First of all, I think it should be. I think Australian cricket might get a fine. I've never seen so little New South Wales people in a Test team before.
just quickly before we get to the rest of the squad, Glenn Maxwell. What do we think about his omission?
Oh.
So he was of course part of their last Test squad, Test team in fact, especially over there touring Asia. He wasn't selected for the Australia A squad. He was basically, he wasn't told, I guess, explicitly, but he would say, all right, we're confident, we know what you can do and whatnot. So he thought he was going to get into the Test team, and then all of a sudden he's been snubbed.
It's a summer tradition, isn't it? Glenn Maxwell getting
Yeah.
snuffed from the Test
He's
team.
not
it
very
does feel
popular.
like
I
that.
don't know. If it was it could be like one of those classic Victorian, just like
Hard luck stories.
yeah, hard luck stories, whatever.
Kicked off by
I don't know.
Brad Hodge.
Would I like? I don't think I would pick him in my team. I don't think he's been proven to be great at tests.
I wouldn't pick Finch either.
But I wouldn't pick Finch, and that he's been picked, like in the same sense. It's just like, I feel like it's like it's a Carlton side, that type of situation. It's like a complete rebuild.
They've done a who was it? It was like cricket memes or something. They did a post and they said when all your boys are out,
Yeah.
you know what, doing whatever, and then you gotta fill in a squad quickly by the Saturday. So this is it. This is a team.
I'm
so-
happy that my man Renshaw's in.
Yeah,
Love
I
the
just
way
want to go
Renshaw
in the
plays.
inclusion. So Brendan Doggett is in, Aaron Finch, Travis Head comes in, Marnus Labuschagne, so have fun pronouncing that name, and Michael
Ooh,
Neza.
That is very foreign for a
Neza,
cricket
however you
team.
want to pronounce it, but those are the 5, and Peter Siddle as well. So those are your inclusions into the team. So very interesting. Very interesting that
Yeah.
Peter Siddle's been recalled, mind you. Is he
How
what?
old- how
How
old
old
is
is a
he?
banana man?
I think he's 33. I think now.
He's very
Siddle?
old. Those
he's
bananas
a
are
little bit
doing
Yeah,
older than
well.
no,
that.
33.
33. Wow.
Yeah. Seems like he's been around for,
For
ages.
ages,
though,
yeah. I
doesn't
think
he?
that's a bit young for
Yeah.
Siddle.
Alright.
Yeah, but there's some new names there which I'm excited about. So hopefully we get to see them.
All right, so that's it for this edition of the Wednesday Sports Test. It's been a pleasure, guys.
No
It
worries.
sure
thanks.
has.
The temperature definitely got hot there in that, about 5 minutes ago. But anyway, you can listen to this episode on Omni as well as iTunes. Do chuck us a subscribe on iTunes if you haven't already at The Sports Desk. We're also on Facebook, of course, at The Sports Desk, and Twitter, Sports Desk Sin. Our next edition of the show will be on Friday, where the team will be previewing the huge weekend in sport, including the AFL Finals and the NRL Finals as well. Good job to our Melbourne Storm. They're
Yeah,
through to
what
a
a win.
preliminary final next Friday night. But anyway, until then, we hope you enjoyed the show.